I created the Is It a Scam group. I started calling out scams. I started not taking anybody's word for anything. I started doing massive due diligence on my own. And the only thing I would take was my own word, what I could actually find and prove. And one day, it's kind of funny. I'll share my screen so you guys can actually see. But one day somebody came to me and said, hey, take a look at this program. And so I saw this website for Mining City that had CGI photographed like this. And then there was another website for MindBest that had CGI, and it just said MindBest up here. And that really kind of confused me. It threw me for a loop, like we were about to get hit with back-to-back scams. So I told people, I put out a warning and said, please don't join this company. I'm pretty positive it's a scam. And I want to dig in. I want to do some due diligence. Now, as well as anybody else, anytime I ever call something a scam, you know what happens. I get hit with an onslaught. Oh, it's not a scam. You're an asshole. And it's so funny. The owner, the man behind it all, his name is Eyal Evramovich, and he actually messaged me on LinkedIn. And when it happened, to be honest with you, I was ready, like, okay, we're about to go to an argument. And it never happened. Like, the guy was literally one of the nicest people I ever met, had some casual conversation, and eventually it came up, and he said, I know you called my company a scam, and he goes, I assure you it's not, and I'd like to give you some background on me so you know who I am. And so he told me, hey, before I got involved into mining, I was an inventor. I was an inventor for the Israeli IDF, making things for our military. And then I was an inventor in the public world, making things for major companies, products that you will probably know. And I was like, well, send me proof. And so he started to send me proof. So this is how our conversation kind of began. And I'll kind of walk you through and show you so you can actually see it firsthand. So one of the first products he told me he made was this Weemy massage robot. And, I'm like, okay, kind of cool, but, not something I would probably buy. But I started looking into this little thing, and I tell you what happened was I started typing in his name with these products. And when that happened, I started to pull up patents. Let me see if I can find the actual patent, because his patent for a lot of these products actually started coming up. I started seeing a lot of things for patents for him. So like you can see right here, this is one of them, you can see stuff. This is for a scale, actually. There's also a body fat scale right here. There's, then I found this article. Then I found the Weemy robot that we talked about. I found the actual patent. And when I started to realize this guy was being honest with me, he wasn't just giving me some humdrum stuff, like this guy really had a patent on the product, and you can actually see his name. Let me just search for it. So you can see this is the patent for the massager. I mean, he's the inventor. No ifs, ands, or buts about it, okay? And same thing, when you start to look at some of the other stuff, let me come over to this patent first, and we'll come back to that one. But here's another patent for the inventor for a scale, actually, with a complexible capacity weight sensor. So it was a special type of scale he created, and some type of digital scale. And then you have another product here, because this is a really big deal. So Gigalinks, everybody knows what Gigalinks is. Everyone should know. If you don't know, you probably haven't been into too much technology. And you can see, at one point in time, Eyal was actually the CEO of Gigalinks. He ended up becoming the chief technology officer and stepping down, and he created a lot of products. He also created this thing for a company called Thinium, which is a special portable charger. You can actually see it right there, and I think I have a photo of it over here, somewhere here. There, the Thinium right there. So if you actually go to the Thinium website, this is what really started to bring all of this story together. I clicked on more, I went to About, I started to read, and then right here in their website, right on their company, says Chief Technologist Eyal Evramovich has extensive experience in both military and advanced commercial technology, developing the most innovative and revolutionary products in portable technology today. Then I found out that not only that, like some of these products were sold on the Home Shopping Network, netting him over $400,000 in a single day. I mean, he literally showed me this stuff live, showed me the videos. Also on YouTube, I found this, which was really crazy. It's like a two-seater car he's actually been working on. But I'll find this little car so you can actually see it live, because I think it's crazy. And here he is, right here in the car. This is the actual vehicle, and you could actually see it sitting in his own driveway. And you'll see him in a second where he walks out, he puts a battery in it. Let's see if I get to that part. Let me see, just speed it up for you. But this is actually transformed. I actually have the new photos. That's him right there. So, taking the battery, about to swap it out. And in a few minutes, you'll see him and his wife hop in, and he'll drive off in it. Now, keep in mind, this was just the frame of the car without the body on top of it as he was starting to design it. A very simple electric vehicle, 2 seats in parallel, designed for places like where I live in Asia, where we don't have a lot of space, and traffic is atrocious. This was like the perfect thing that you can actually see. That's his wife. And you'll see them in a second. They'll hop in and they'll drive off. And very working, you know, model. So like the guy knows what he's doing. He's smart. And so the next thing was after I asked him, you know, for all this, and he shows me all this, he tells me, you know, I launched MindBest just for me and my wife's family. I put $1.5 million of my own money, and we started a company called MindBest. And when I started digging into MindBest, well, that's when the doors and the lights kind of came on for me, just to be honest with you. By the way, here's a bunch more patents. So, you know, there's several of them. And he's been around a long time. But one of the things, Silicon Canals, which is actually a pretty big, you know, Polish website that actually talks about fintech, they were actually the #1 startup in Poland. That's where it originally started, in Warsaw. And so they started in 2017. $1.5 million of their own money. They already had, you know, big business, big team, so on and so forth, doing everything and growing. You know, they actually doing business now in many countries. But before they ever launched a network marketing company, they had been mining for over 2 years and had 3 exahash of power. Mm-hmm. So very unique company. The other side of it is Mining City has some pretty unique awards. One of them comes from IDEM, which is the International Digital Asset Management Company. Another one actually comes from the World Digital Mining Summit. So as I started to dig into these things, Peter, you know, like I found stuff that I really wasn't used to, okay? And here's what I mean by that. When you type in World Digital Mining Summit, what you'll find out is it's really owned by Bitmain, okay? So you have a guy, before he ever launched an MLM, had awards directly from Bitmain. And a lot of people do not understand or do not know this is their mining summit. They own it. There's another summit called Miner Summit, which is in China. The reason I thought this was very unique is the Miner Summit. This is a very big deal. And if you actually add his name to that little post, check this out. This guy was a speaker, a featured speaker at Miner Summit, okay? He was also, if I go back and I take this name, if I just go back into my search real quick, I go back to World and we type it in here, he's also a speaker at World Digital Mining Summit. And guess what? You can see him live speaking on stage. Like, this is a guy in the mining world that's not just a nobody. He's a somebody. He's somebody that people know. They trust the guy. He is second to none when it comes to technology. That's him speaking live.
My name is Eyal, and I'm from Israel. Originally, I'm an electronic engineer.
So like for the first time, I want you to think about this in layman's terms. For the first time, we had a known figure who owned a company for 2 years. He had been mining successfully, making millions of dollars in the Bitcoin space. Mm-hmm. He's an inventor. So what did he do? What was his next step? His next step was to create a coin. But unfortunately, before that happened, he got sidetracked because he was actually in South Korea speaking at an event. And at that event, he was approached by a guy by the name of Eyal Park. Now, if you don't know who Eyal Park is, I personally do. He's actually the head of its International Digital Asset Management Company, okay? And started in Korea. They were doing, him and Greg Rogowski, they were there working together, actually doing the event because Eyal was the CEO, Greg was the vice president of marketing for the company. They were speaking. They had no plans to start a network marketing company. That was nothing in their background. But Eyal Park came to them and said, hey, I'm at another company right now that's doing mining. I'm unhappy with it because the numbers don't make sense to me. He goes, I would like to buy you guys lunch and have a conversation with you. So he took them to lunch. They had a great conversation. And over the course of the conversation, you know, he's explaining to him what was happening at his other company. And right away, Eyal said something's fishy here because these numbers don't add up. And so he explained everything to Eyal. And for the first time, Mr. Park, a guy who had made millions in the mining industry, that really wasn't that well informed, unfortunately, all of a sudden his eyes were open and he said, holy smokes, I see it now. I understand. And he said to him, you know, obviously speaking to a translator, because unfortunately Mr. Park doesn't speak English, speaking to a translator says to him, I want to do business with you. I can bring you 50,000, 100,000 people if you're willing to start up a network marketing company as part of your MindBest project. And you know what was really unique for Eyal is Eyal had to step back and say, well, wait a second. Because now they're not just mining in Poland, they're mining in Kazakhstan, and they have a contract with the government in Kazakhstan where they buy electricity for super duper cheap.
Cheap, yeah.
And So he wanted to protect the relationship. So him and Greg had a long conversation after meeting with Mr. Park, and they decided they wanted to proceed. But in order to protect MineBest, they had to have a company in between. So MineBest is the company that does all of the mining. They provide everything, the hardware, everything. Mining City is basically just the marketing arm for MineBest. That's really all it is. There's no difference. But Greg resigned basically from MineBest, went over and became the CEO of Mining City, his biggest venture ever to date in his life. And he's doing what he does, and what he did basically for MineBest. He's still the marketing guy. That's really what they're doing. So this was like a perfect fit. And they actually were very smart about how they did everything. Eyal started to study. He got some of the best attorneys. He went and he said, okay, I want to open up everywhere in the world, but I need to be legal. So he went to SEC, got case law, SEC versus Genesis Mining, which was a really big deal because it was the first mining company that the SEC basically had dropped a case on because they couldn't prosecute them. There was nothing that they did wrong because they were selling a legitimate service in the fact that they were selling hash power.
Right.
So they copied that model, and then they took the model from Neil Park's old company, his comp plan, and they made it even better. 3 times better, in fact. 3 times more lucrative. They could pay that much more based on actual real mining. And Mr. Park in his first year, so the guy made $5 million at this company. The company skyrocketed. After I realized it wasn't a scam, I dug into it for 5 months. I fell in love with this company, Peter. And I publicly apologized to Eyal and Greg. And I told them, I've always said if I called something a scam and I was wrong, I will put my own money in and I will join the company. And that's what I did.
Here's the way you can do it. You can sign up for Mining City. You can also go buy some Bitcoin vaults and hold on to them because it's going to make some money. But that's the problem. If you buy Bitcoin vault today, you went and you bought 100 of them, let's say, and you hold on to them, that's all you're going to have is 100. They're not going to grow in your wallet. They're just going to grow in value. But if you went and bought a mining plan, now you can continually stack mining plans and you can constantly get more and more Bitcoin vault. And over time, you'll end up owing more than what you just purchased today because of the mining. You can't do that by just buying the coin. This is one of the best deals that I've ever seen because of the people involved. When you do a little bit of due diligence yourself, you're going to see that for yourself.